Hidden among the gardens of Xi'an stands a remarkable survivor from one of the greatest eras in Chinese history. The Small Wild Goose Pagoda has watched over this city for more than 1,300 years. Built during the Tang Dynasty, it has survived earthquakes, wars, and centuries of change. And just beyond it lies the Xi'an Museum, home to thousands of artifacts revealing what life was like when Xi'an was the capital of a vast and cosmopolitan empire. Today we're stepping back into the world of Tang Dynasty China. The Small Wild Goose Pagoda stands within the grounds of the ancient Jianfu Temple, once one of the important Buddhist temples of Chang'an, the city we now call Xi'an. The pagoda was constructed during the Tang Dynasty, probably in the early 8th century, during a period when Buddhism was flourishing throughout China. Its name comes from the much larger giant wild goose pagoda, located several kilometers away. Both were associated with the translation and preservation of Buddhist scriptures, reflecting the enormous influence that Buddhism had gained in Tang China. But despite its name, the Small Wild Goose Pagoda is anything but insignificant. Originally rising higher than it does today, the brick tower has endured repeated earthquakes and rebuilding over the centuries. Look closely at the structure, and you can see the simplicity of Tang architectural design. The pagoda is built almost entirely from brick, with each level becoming progressively smaller as the tower rises. Its elegant proportions give it a remarkably graceful appearance, especially when viewed against the surrounding trees. And there is something extraordinary about standing here and considering just how much history this tower has witnessed. When it was built, Chang'an was one of the largest and most sophisticated cities in the world. Merchants, diplomats, monks and travellers arrived from across Asia and beyond. The famous Silk Road connected Tang China with Central Asia, Persia and the Middle East, bringing not only goods but also ideas, religions, languages and artistic influences. This was a truly international city, and the Small Wild Goose Pagoda was built right in the middle of it. Today, the atmosphere is considerably more peaceful. The pagoda is surrounded by mature trees, gardens and traditional buildings, creating a quiet contrast to the modern city beyond the walls. The grounds of Jianfu Temple were once considerably more extensive than what survives today. Imagine this place during the Tang Dynasty. Buddhist monks moving through the temple complex, worshippers arriving to pray, and scholars studying sacred texts brought from distant lands. The pagoda itself would have been an important part of this religious landscape. For centuries, these towers served both practical and symbolic purposes. They could house Buddhist relics and scriptures, while their upward-reaching form represented a connection between the earthly and spiritual worlds. One of the most remarkable things about the Small Wild Goose Pagoda is simply the fact that it is still standing. Xi'an lies in an area that has experienced powerful earthquakes throughout its history. The pagoda has been damaged and repaired several times, yet much of the original Tang Dynasty structure survives. Its resilience has become part of its story. Rather than being a perfectly preserved monument frozen in time, the Small Wild Goose Pagoda is a record of centuries of history, with each repair helping to carry the building into the next generation. It is a reminder that ancient monuments survive not simply because they were built well, but because people continued to value and protect them. And there is another reason this site is so important. The history surrounding the pagoda isn't contained only within its walls. Just a short walk away is the Xi'an Museum, where thousands of artifacts help tell the story of this remarkable city. So let's head inside and take a look at some of the treasures left behind by the people who lived here more than 1,000 years ago. The Xi'an Museum contains an impressive collection covering many periods of Chinese history. But for anyone interested in the Tang Dynasty, some of the most fascinating objects are the ceramics. Among them are examples of Tang Sancai, literally meaning three-coloured, one of the most recognizable ceramic traditions of the Tang period. Despite the name, Sancai wasn't limited to exactly three colours. The distinctive glazes could produce combinations of amber, green, cream, brown and other tones, often flowing into one another to create wonderfully unpredictable patterns. These ceramics were made using lead-based glazes that were applied over a fired clay body before being fired again. Sancai objects included figures of horses, camels, officials, warriors and foreigners, as well as vessels and everyday objects. And these weren't simply decorative pieces. The figures provide an extraordinary glimpse into Tang society. The famous Sancai horses, for example, reflect the importance of horses to the Tang Empire, while camel figures often represent the merchants and travellers who crossed the Silk Road. Some figures even show people with distinctly Central Asian or Middle Eastern features, providing physical evidence of just how culturally diverse Tang-era Xi'an had become. Standing here, these small ceramic figures become more than museum objects. They are snapshots of a world that existed more than 1,000 years ago, a world where Xi'an stood at the centre of international trade, religion and culture. And perhaps that is what makes both the Small Wild Goose Pagoda and the Xi'an Museum so fascinating. One allows us to stand among the surviving architecture of Tang China. The other allows us to look directly at the people, objects and cultures that helped make this city one of the greatest centres of the ancient world.